Hi, my name is Ryan from Reedy High School, and this is an instructional video on how to install Vision software. And there's going to be two major installs. One's going to be on a teacher machine, and the other will be on the student. We're going to go ahead and start off with the student. The order that you install these doesn't really matter. We just pick student because everyone says I make a great student. So find your application software that you want to install and double click on that. And it's going to give you some options. You want to choose Run Installer. And it'll go through the whole process here. Choose the accept the terms in the license agreement. And then you want to choose Vision Student Module right there. Okay, the other one will be Vision Teacher Module, which we'll cover in another part of the video. And then right here, we usually select this one, Start Vision before Windows starts, and the student cannot exit Vision. So that's the option we want just to get you on the same page here. There are ways to get around this, so just keep that in the back of your mind. This thing is not bulletproof. And you'll go through the install process. Should be fairly quick depending on your machine. I'm going to assume that you're on Windows machines. Once the install is finished, it'll give you an option to restart the computer, which you will need to do in order for this to work. I'm going to pause the video while we restart the computer so I don't lose the video, which I've done already 2 times now. Hopefully you successfully rebooted your computer, and you'll probably notice that there's not much going on as far as Vision software is concerned. That's good because the students don't really need to have anything to do with the Vision software. It's all about you. If you go here and search on your in your search bar, you'll notice that it pops up, but we're not really worried about that right now. Students should be able to log in and be able to actually execute an executable file and install software because of the permissions that they are not granted. So that's not much of an issue. What will be important is that you come down here to your start, right click, choose system, and we want to find the computer device name. This is how we're going to be able to understand which computers are on the network for the teacher software that we're going to show you how to install here in a second. So again, one more time, right click, choose system, and you'll get this fancy window right here. This is good stuff. And you want to identify the device name right there. Okay. So once you have that, you should be good to go. Just kind of pay attention to the algorithm that you'll, or the naming conventions that you'll see for these device names. Typically, they'll be the last, say, 5 or 6 alphanumeric characters here on the device name. That kind of help you isolate where it's going. And I think the S is going to be, don't quote me on this. I'm not going to say anything. All right. So anyhow, there you have it. Make sure you pay attention to these names and numbers, and we'll see you in the teacher install video here in a second. All right, welcome to the second half of this amazing instructional video series on how to install Vision software. We're going to install the teacher section in this particular portion of the video. And you'll notice things are a little wonky here with the camera. That is if we're allowing you to see the camera, because we might look extremely stupid right now since we're having to hold a web camera up. It's a long story. All right, so once we're in there, you should be seeing everything. You're going to go through the normal install, and you're going to choose the Vision Teacher Module at the very top. Previously, we chose Vision Student Module, which is what the students get. Remember, you're the teacher. Or at least we hope you are. Here, you'll put the license key number. Our good friend, Mr. Kreitz, the teacher of the year at Reedy High School, is driving this thing. So you know you're in good hands here. And on this screen, we are going to be setting up a password. So this password will be the password that you will use to actually log into the Vision software. Like, so for example, when you're starting up the software to get into it in order to use it in the classroom, you'll have a password on that. That way, students, if they do somehow get the executable file and want to start running it on the machine, they won't be able to because you'll have a password that'll set up the teacher profile. And then we'll go through the install process. Same as before. Once the software is installed, you'll again be brought to the screen to restart your computer. And so we'll go ahead and restart it. So your computer has now reset. And when you go back into your desktop and log in as the teacher, Vision should automatically load and prompt you to enter in the password that you created in the previous section. So go ahead and enter in your password. And then Vision loads. And let's go ahead and set up our Vision software now by clicking on yes. And then it's going to walk you through a wizard. The wizard is going to help you identify different computers on the network. This speed varies, so just be patient. Yeah, it's going to pull up a whole army of computers, which is why we wrote down the naming conventions for all the student computers when we were installing those on the machines earlier. If you can find a friend to help you out with that process, it would be beneficial, or a trustworthy student. There's not much they can do as far as compromising the software by having that information, but nonetheless, you might find it in your best interest not to have a student help out. After several painful seconds of waiting for all the computers and the network to load, you need to go through and find your computers on your particular lab. And this is where you'll need to match up the name of the machines that you wrote down earlier and just kind of match it up with what you see there in your screen. So Mr. Kreitz is finding our student machine that we installed previously.
So if you notice, there's only two. This is a computer lab of 32, and only two showed up from this room, which is common. I think it might just be there's so many devices, it can't list all of the computers on the network at a campus, but that's okay. We can always click on add and manually enter that name that we found on the student computer. We don't need to run this part of the wizard. There's an option where you can push out the install of Vision on the student computers, but our network, Frisco's network security systems they have set in place don't allow for this to happen. So at this point, we can just go ahead and cancel this wizard.
And there's the student computer. Okay, so whenever you install your software and start adding the student computers, you'll need to restart the Vision software in order for it to be able to pick up all of the student computers on the network that you're adding to your teacher software.
And you only have to do that once you're done adding all the computers. You don't have to restart your Vision after each computer you add. But once you're done adding your computers, you will then want to exit your Vision, which when you click the X, it asks you what you want to do. Just click exit and then restart it. So we can actually show you where you can find Vision. It should install a shortcut on the desktop, but in your start menu under N for NetTop is also where Vision is. And we can get right back into it. And it shows up, and now we can see, I can see that computer. I can see the login screen there. So I know it works. If you needed to add more computers, obviously we don't have just one computer in here, and the wizard is already over. So how do we add more computers to the lab? File, Classroom Manager. Make sure your classroom's highlighted. Click Edit, and then you can see your student computers here. You have to enable this Edit Global Classroom. That's what will allow you to manually add people. You just got to click on it though, and then we can click on Add. You can enter in your names here. It even tells you can separate the names with a space, a comma, a semicolon, whatever. So I'm going to take the computers that we set up.
While Mr. Kreitz is typing that up, just go ahead and make sure you verify all the names on in your lab, because we've noticed some labs, the computer naming conventions are not always what they should seem to be. For example, there's some machines in my lab that don't follow the typical algorithm here where everything kind of sequentially increases through the values at the very end of the naming convention. So just go through and verify, because I have a few computers, I don't know where they came from, but they don't follow the normal naming convention. So just pro tip right there.
This guy might pop up just letting you know you're modifying your list, and it may restart Vision. So we just say okay, and then it restarts, and we can see it connecting. And there's all three. I've yet to figure out how Vision places these screens. You're free to move them around. It seems to be random, and it seems to go back to a random spot every time I reload Vision. No matter how much I move them around and want them to be nice and organized. If you have naming conventions in your computer lab, like if you call your rows like A, B, C, D or anything like that, and don't call them by this guy here, we can always give them a custom name. So if in my computer lab I have these labeled, let's say this is computer A1, under the view, instead of viewing the computer name, I can give you the custom name, and now it'll show the custom name. The other nice thing is if you look at by login name, it'll show you the person that is logged into the computers. So you can keep track of your students that way and see make sure that the right students are logged into the right computers.